of the 2022 World Cup. This game is against Jason Lee, my clubmate slash mentor. He is the person who took me under his wing to try and teach me the ways of a top Scrabble expert. Around 2011, 2012, he was really just inculcating me. Is that the... he was just giving me all the tips and tricks, and at this point we're pretty much like evenly ranked players. I think I've been doing slightly better than him lately, but against him specifically I have a very bad record, which makes perfect sense as he taught me the tricks. He knows how to trick the tricks or whatever. Yeah, very hard to overcome your mentor and teacher. But yeah, games against him always tough. And I was first. I opened with Hoax. I did a little simulation beforehand just to see which placement of Hoax seemed the best and whether Oxo was worth considering or not, to keep two A's but to also keep the possibility of good overlaps with the H, but seems like it's not worth it, and that my placement with the A on the star is optimal. So it's good to see. Jason plays BEAU, bow. And I drew into this interesting rack, JLLR draw, and yeah, straight away just missed a play a lot better than the one I made. So here I just play Jarl on either side. I mean, obviously just take the points for 32, but instead I played Roll. And the reason that I played Roll is that I just completely missed Jarl. It's a word I really struggle to see. I guess it has sort of a weird form, like JARL. I guess RL ARL is sort of not traditionally, I don't know, not making excuses for myself, of course, but definitely needed to see that. It should be the best play. Maybe it's not as steep as the original static valuation might indicate, given that Roll, the J has some value, playing Hajj or Haji or Hydra can happen, and the J might just have some value elsewhere, but it's definitely the best play, and it's definitely a really bad miss of a 4-letter word. And yeah, that's not what you need to be doing against your mentor. So here Jason played Toyon for 29, and this is probably a position where the mistake compounded upon itself, because had I played Jarl and he played Toyon, gave me much higher likelihood of just bingoing right off the bat. Obviously, the reason that Roll is an okay play is because on closed boards the J might do well, but if Jason has a play at H11, which he did have and did play, it's much better for me to be keeping the ARL leave and potentially hitting this Y or this O, this N. So here I had another interesting decision. Well, I guess my first interesting decision on whether to play. Well, there's just a bunch of plays in this spot, and I think this is where I should be playing. I guess Votary is worth considering. And so keeping the J here, not because the J is a good tile, the J is usually quite a bad tile, actually. But I noticed that if I played Vaw in this spot, I can I could draw a Hodge play that scores massively, just a huge J overlap. So I thought this setup might actually work some of the time, and it was just whether the idea was just whether it was worth sacrificing better potential leaves. For example, like this spot is just going to get organically blocked pretty often. It is a big scoring spot. You can put a D, a G, an H, an M, a P, W, a Y. All of those letters hit the J6 spot quite hard. So, of course, the value of playing VAW is not necessarily um, it's not necessarily to be stealthy about the setup, but it is just a scoring spot that is likely to be taken. So I had to evaluate whether it was worth making the sacrifice over playing something like Zhao, just keeping the better leave synergy, or just Vow even maybe setting up the A with a Vow. But also Votary is an interesting J setup. But yeah, it doesn't really lead to too much. A J setup at 12D, if I do get something down like a 3-letter word, that will create counterplay on the 14 row that could score just as well. So this sort of J setup isn't as good. And of course, it's worth mentioning that if I do get this J setup to work in my favor, the K column might become a little bit scoring heavy with Haji as a hook, or Hodge with 2 J's. Maybe we could see a double J Hodge play, which is just extremely rare because you need a blank to do that. But yeah, I guess according to the simulation, things are pretty close. Maybe Zhao is just more sound overall. But I'm okay with this play of Va. And if you guys saw the last game that I featured against Jason Lee, where I actually made 2 videos about the game, one about the game itself and one about a very interesting position that arose in the game that I sort of brushed off during my original annotation. It featured a setup play, so maybe I was just making up for not making the setup in the last game against Jason by playing this. But yeah, seems pretty close, so I'm decently okay with this play. And yeah, Jason doesn't hesitate to use the spot up with Hazer. So now I'm back to square one, and I have this rack, which is a pretty good draw to JORT, EME, really balancing things with 3 vowels, 4 consonants, just a lot of scoring stuff. However, I don't really have any great plays here. And the question is whether I want to play JEE or JOE in this spot. And I wasn't really sure. I actually don't even remember which JEE position I chose. I think I chose this one. But I'd have to double check later. Yeah, after a few plays, I might have to go back. But I ended up playing G just to try and keep what I thought was the best leave in the position of EMORT. But it's always very difficult to determine whether to keep 2 E's or an E and an O. I figured that there were tons of E's unseen still, and only a few O's. So although EEMRT might immediately lead to more bingos, which let's see, it seems very, very close. So if EEMRT does work better, potentially through this O, the times that I don't draw into a bingo, I would have a more balanced rack of an O rather than an E. Well, to go with the other E. So I ended up playing, I think, this play here. Seems pretty good. And here, Jason bingos. And notice how I probably should have bingoed first this game had I seen Jarl I would have probably been able to balance my rack rather than try and set the J up and keep the J for another turn and not bingo for another turn. But Jason strikes first. And okay, so I actually did play the other G. Well, because now I see my next play of Menno for 36. Seems like the clear best play here. Balances well and scores well. I'm only down 21. Here Jason plays Fag for 34. And luckily I am able to bingo with Renature from the R, scoring 68 points. So now I'm ahead 13. Jason plays Dick and Renatured. And yeah, these plays are just pretty normal. I play Pike to keep QI rather than some other leave with the Q. And yeah, maybe I can play QI or QIS next turn, but I definitely need to address this triple spot. And take the lead once again. And here Jason plays Dig for 16, and this seemed like potentially a good thing for me. His rack can't be that good after his play, so I determined that like he might have a blank with Dig. He was pretty likely to have a blank, but with not so great letters. And given that, I felt the likeliest scenario that would be bad for me would be Jason playing to this S. And I figured that instead of playing QAT, which seemed far and away to be the best idea here, considering Jason's last play, and also considering the fact that there are lots of I's left, and the leave AETW seems certainly better than EEITW, especially given the prevalence of I's. I thought that this sacrifice was worth making, worth taking. Even though I'm not really ahead this game, I might be doing slightly better on average in the position with tempo, but two blanks are unseen, and I'm not really close to a bingo. I felt that if I played QI for 26 and Jason bingoed elsewhere, I could easily continue scoring and come back. Whereas if I played QAT and Jason bingoed, it would be a lot harder for me to score and address the spots and maintain a good flow of things. So I decided to take the sacrifice, and the other reason was that I did have this idea from Dig, what Jason was close to, but it also just seemed to me that he was ready to play a bingo in the position. So either that meant that bingo was on the E column, or that the bingo was through or to this S. So yeah, I thought that he had something ready to go, ending in S, and or in that spot pretty much, and that this might block him. So that's why I made this play, and turns out I was sort of right, but this is a kind of a situation where you have to realize the shortcomings of making tells on players, because yes, Jason was ready to play Timidist through this S, but he hadn't, I think, yet seen that this also fit through the second S of Spacious, until I made my move, and then he started looking elsewhere and realized that he could play through this S. But at that point, he had already, I think, decided to forego the bingo and just play Timid, which is a beautiful play. Scores 40 points, takes a 10-point lead, keeps the blank. Whereas this play, I mean, takes a 35-point lead, but Doesn't keep the blank, and it might run into some trouble if I'm able to score over a few turns. So Jason decided to play timid instead, and yeah, my play sort of backfired because of that. I drew a U, and here I could play away or I could play unwet. I guess I could also play re-wet to maximize my score here. I didn't actually see that. And in these positions where the board's pretty close, save for one bingo spot and a couple of okay scoring spots, like playing to this M is a scoring spot, scoring is at a premium. And if I could keep scoring and draw a blank, I'll be at a pretty good advantage. But unwet, I think, is just too strong in terms of how likely I am to draw bingo after that. Our next turn, 35% bingo chances, just really, really good on this board. I'm hitting this T pretty hard, and potentially this E column as well. And if I draw a B or a D, I get plays to this M. Just the AER leave just seemed pretty nice, but I see the value in playing re-wet just to keep up the scoring pressure. But instead I play unwet. Some wet word was probably the best play. And yeah, here Jason surprised me with a beautiful bingo to this M of Taliesin for 86, which was definitely one of the worst case scenarios in the position. And yeah, I was back to the drawing board. I drew this rack, and I couldn't find a bingo through this T, though there might be one. Okay, there isn't. And yeah, the normal play here seemed to be hair, but the problem with that is I'm now down 72 points, and this bingo lane isn't really going to do it, and the unseen letters are not very good. Yeah, for this I need to draw like a bingo ending in ST or IS or ISE. Didn't seem super likely in comparison to what to playing raw, keeping a couple more vowels. Well, two vowels rather than one. And yeah, maybe hitting this T. So yeah, I'm not actually sure about this now that I look at it again, but I'm pretty sure playing hair is just a recipe for disaster. Um, I mean, both plays are problematic in their own ways. Raw is problematic because it leaves the scoring spot open, which could also be a good thing. I might want to use it to open more lanes. Uh, and it also allows like plays with ERE that don't take any hooks in this lexicon. And the problem with hair is just the leave is a bit worse. But the bingo opportunities are also pretty bad. So yeah, I guess it's a pick your poison position, but it does just seem like taking the points is better. I probably should have done that. And like I said, like looking at this position again, it does seem like hair is a better play. Yeah. And I should have made it. I think I probably had some deep reasoning though. Like if he does try to block with ERE, I can reopen. I don't know. After this, if he manages to block with like an aha play, I mean, he needs to have the last A, but some ahi play would block pretty definitively, but then I could reopen. So yeah, I think I just should have played hair. So I played raw, and I played raw, and Jason played Olio for 10, which was really a good case scenario for me, except I actually drew too many vowels here, and I ended up playing reg for 17, or yeah, where did I play reg for 17? Did I miscount? Or did Jason? Oh no, Jason didn't play Olio there. That's why. Yeah, Jason played Olio here, which makes way more sense in the position. Not to open up the F hook or whatever. So no, here I played reg for 17 here. And the reason being, Jason's clearly just gonna overlap somewhere over here next turn. And so I play reg to set up the A hook and try to maximize my chances of drawing an EST bingo through this T and unwet. So yeah, basically just preventing scoring plays and creating a hook, I think, is what I needed to do here. Something like age looks good, but where am I really bingoing? I guess I could draw some bingos on the D column, but they're very unlikely to work out. So I think reg was the call. There is an issue of Jason playing off 2 tiles, not emptying the bag. But I think I need to. I mean, I'm down 31, so if he plays 2 tiles and I bingo, I should probably be good a large amount of the time. But unfortunately, Jason bingos again with the other blank, plays Dendron, and the game is over. However, we still have the end game to deal with, and I drew into this rack, and noticed that it seemed Jason was V stuck if I managed to block his vent spot. However, once I blocked the vent spot, I realized, wait, no, he has nav. So what I have to do here is play off of N4, playing Sib. But actually, for some reason, Sab is better. Wonder why. I want to go through this endgame and see why Sab is better keeping 2 eyes. Normally it should be simple enough to figure it out. Ilex is a high scoring play, I guess. For just 1 eye. Yeah, normally it's just you look at how much your your vowels can score, I think. Okay, so yeah, there's this endgame where Jason, yeah, okay. I see this. I understand. So the idea is playing Ilex for 11 and threatening to play fine, I guess. But Jason should let me play that. Okay, so this would be the endgame if I had played Sab, lost by 46. But I played Sib, and I just want to verify that Quackle isn't getting its numbers mixed up here, because it often does. Just want to see. Yeah, there's some weird ideas of playing EFF as well, and IF. Okay, but yeah, Ano scores more. That's why I was confused about this line. Again, it's saying to block fine, which isn't right. Wait a sec. None of this makes any sense, guys. I'm sorry. Quackle is just confused, I think. 11, 15, 43. Oh, okay. That does make sense, actually. So this endgame only loses by 39. So it seems my play was better. Okay. Yeah, Quackle doesn't get these endgames, right? But I should probably start using the a better endgame solver at some point. It will be available. So none of this happened. Jason played un for 4 after running very low on the clock. Realizing he was V stuck. And here I played, yeah, F for 28 as I was supposed to. But it's really funny. Yeah, Jason plays it in Troll. I play Ilex. Everything is perfect here, except the last play. I completely miss the spot of Ana and a G and play AY for 9. Just really dumb. I think I was also just like very, very low on the clock, but I should still see Ana and a G. Yeah. And I end up losing the game by 39. So not terrible, considering the Taliesin play blowing me out of the water. But of course, I did not play this game all that well. Second move was a mistake. Third move might have been a mistake. Fourth move might have been a mistake. And then QI could have been bad. Unwet could have been bad. Raw was definitely bad. So most of the plays I made this game were probably unsound. And that's just not going to cut it. So another loss under my belt. And at this point, I am 9-8. So back in the middle of the pack after trying to exit that mass of players that's just middling um, in the last few games by going 9-7 and hoping to win more games. I just lost a really, really bad game for my standings, but again, not a very big loss, 39 points. So still in the running for a place prize at this point, even though 17 out of 31 rounds are done. Because my spread is decent and I have more wins than losses. But again, gonna be really, really tough to place, being 9-8. So yeah, looking forward to sharing the next games with you guys. And as always, thanks for watching.